What do I tell you every day about the class balance? Complain, okay? It doesn't matter if you're right, it doesn't matter if you got anything to say. If you wanna do well in the next phase of Classic, what you gotta do above anything else is go to Twitter and complain as much as possible. And that brings us to today's changes, because not an hour after I was joking about it once again that complaining is the best way to prepare for Phase 5, complaints have already gone through the cycle. And we're getting reverses on nerfs. This is gonna be the biggest one of them all, and that is that the lock and load nerf, the 8-second cooldown, got reversed. That's right, the cooldown is gone once again. Lock and load will not be nerfed to the ground. Now, that's one of those things where I thought it wasn't a big deal before, and then hunters came in and they like smacked me in the head and they were like, yeah, lock and load cooldown is a big deal, I don't know what you're on to, and they explained it to me, and basically it was looking to be like a 10% reduction of DPS, and now it's not gonna happen, so I guess hunters got a good reason to celebrate. Also, there is a buff right there, and I think this spells very good fate for the Beast Mastery Hunter, that they are buffing Flanking Strike again. Your pet's basic attacks have now a 50% chance instead of a 33% chance to reset the cooldown of your Flanking Strike. Of course, Flanking Strike is the hardest hitting melee ability that you got. You hit with your pet, and of course that makes it a very strong Beast Mastery ability. We talked about the set bonuses in Solgorov for Beast Mastery before. The Solgorov set has 8% pet damage, and it has an attack power buff. It's a really good set for Beast Mastery, and these changes might just push it over the edge. It needs to become a really good spec. Maybe not the best spec, but a very workable spec, so I think that's something you can all rejoice about. Next, we have the Paladin and Horn of Lordaeron. Once again, complaining is the way to go. Horn of Lordaeron is back. This might be what it takes to push the balance for Alliance instead of Horde. I've been saying it before, guys, and I will say it again. I agree with this change a lot. Why would you roll Alliance before? Okay, Salvation, it didn't matter anymore. We got Alpha, it's even better than Salvation. Blessing of Kings, it didn't matter. The Horde has Blessing of Kings too now. The last thing holding the Alliance together was the fact that they had the weapon racials, and the weapon racials are now for everybody. And on top of that, every single spec of Shaman is absolutely nasty and really strong, so there is very little the Alliance has to offer for you. And I always said, if you are gonna get rid of all the racials from the Alliance, you better have the Paladins do not just as good as the Shamans, they gotta be a little better, because how else are they gonna compete? So I think adding the Horn of Lordaeron again is a great idea, and I don't think that's even enough, honestly, for the Alliance. I play Horde again. If they could delete Shamans of the game, I would be so happy, but two wrongs do not make a right. I think this is a change in the right direction. Then we see in the Rogue changes that they got a 20% damage nerf for Rogue tanks. Now this happened to the Warlocks too the other day, and it's a very simple explanation, and it is that Rogues and Warlocks do a lot more damage than every other tank. A Prot Warrior is doing like 600 DPS at best. Meanwhile, a Warlock or a Rogue were doing something like 1000 DPS, well over 1000 in some cases. So basically they are nerfing their damage and increasing their threat to compensate, to put them on the same power scale as everybody else. You can argue, okay, I will give you that. You can argue maybe 20% is too much, maybe 20% is too little. That's a discussion you can have, but I absolutely think they should have done it. So that's another W right there. Rare Blizzard W. As you can see by the Warlock nerfs, they actually walked it back a little bit. That's why I say you can argue with the damage number. Maybe it's too low or too high. They decreased the damage nerf from 20 to 15%, but they also decreased the threat modifier a little, so it should be in the same level as the first nerf when it came through. It shouldn't have changed the actual threat values. But once again, the intention of this change, and we're gonna see if it actually works out, is to get them on the same level as all the other tanks. Something which probably should have happened way earlier. Now, if you can get a nerf on the Shaman tank's threat, that would be like just perfect. I think tanking would be finally fixed. If we take a look at Warriors, there is also a small buff for the 200 Warrior, where every time they crit, they get 4 additional rage, and that is definitely something that's gonna help, although I don't think that's gonna be like a big deal, of course. But I think the 200 Warrior is gonna be deceptively good this phase. I think it's gonna start pulling ahead a little bit, even though dual wield is obviously gonna be the meta forever. I think there should be a huge change in how Warriors work for dual wield not to be the meta. Deep Wounds works very well with it now, so I don't think that's gonna change. Then we got the set bonuses. There's also some changes on that. Okay, the 6-piece bonus for Boomkins is... I think this is a huge nerf. Wow. So instead of getting an instant Starfire, you're gonna do 10% more damage and it can stack. That's just useless. Yeah, I think they are gonna go back to tier 1 after that. That's a shame. They are doing changes to tier 1 too, which is a little odd. They are nerfing the damage of Holy Shield a little bit. That's odd. I don't think it's a big deal, but why would you even bother doing that? I don't think a single person complained that Prot Paladins do too much damage. Maybe they are afraid of like the AoE potential of it, because Blackwing Lair is a very AoE heavy raid, so that might be it. I don't see it. Okay, look at that. The Fireball dot is gonna scale 40%. They doubled the 6-piece bonus. And I guarantee you this one is also from complaining, because I thought that was fine and now they doubled it. They doubled the effect of the 6-piece. So yeah, all the people that were saying that Fireball was not gonna be the meta, it will definitely be the meta. Fire Mage is gonna be absolutely disgusting this phase, like it's always been, and that's very worrying, but that's not my problem. We also got to find out a couple more of the new items coming up. First of all, this is the name of the epic shield that the warriors are gonna get, Spyro the Dragon. You guys know Spyro the Dragon from the PlayStation 1, where he's here. Apparently, the cool thing about it is that if you get Dragon's Breath, so that's something like Nefarian's Breath, I assume, you're gonna get 30% more damage against dragons, but that's not it, okay? The on-use effect is gonna reduce spell damage taken by 50%. That's any spell. And it's only on a 1-minute cooldown, so I think this is gonna be really busted, and I would be shocked if they do not nerf it. Actually, that's definitely something I want to prioritize first. This shield is gonna be like best in slot forever, basically, if it stays on this state. It will also work as an Onyxia Scale Cloak, by the way. Look at that. Protects the wearer from being fully engulfed by Shadow Flame. That's the Nefarian thingy. So it will free up space for a real cloak at the same time. That's super busted. Once again, I am not a big fan of the design. I will be the first one to make fun of it, but that's a damn good shield. I want to have it so bad. They are also gonna put an item that will give you the Sulfuras Fire Cat thingy, even if you do not have Sulfuras. So if you get a better mace or something like that later on, you're still gonna be able to be a Fire Kitty. I think that's kinda cool. When are we getting Fire Bear? Probably never, but I don't know, I'm upset. As you can see, they are also changing some of the PvP items, especially the Paladin ones. They are removing some of the stamina and putting intellect on it. It was really awkward. A lot of the PvP gear for healer Paladins has melee stats on it, so I mean, that's a good idea to change that. They seem to be really pushing Shockadins lately. That's something that you can see in everything they do these last few patches. They really want to have Shockadins in the meta. I don't really care about it, but that's a little odd. And they are also putting this little item here that will turn you into a goblin in Blackwing Lair. Now, I think I know what they are doing this, and simply put, you gotta mind control an NPC in Blackwing Lair to use the Elementium Foundry thingy so you can make your Thunder Fury. I think this thing is gonna have something to do with that, like gonna be like an alternative way of getting Thunder Fury made. I am not 100% sure about it, but I think that's what's going on here, because the technicians are the guys with the Elementium, right? It just makes sense, they are goblins. But very well, that's a lot of stuff that's coming out today. All I gotta say, I want that shield. I don't know what it's gonna take to get it, but Medina gotta get it. Medina want boom boom. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.